Okay, this is the Tempest. It's probably one of the coolest pieces of gear I've ever used, but it does have some limitations. As you can see, it has the knobs replaced to what I believe are the Prophet 8 knob covers. I like the display a lot. I think it's pretty cool. Very Dave Smith to have something like that. Not the prettiest looking machine, but the pads feel incredible. They're right up there with the Ableton Push. The Ableton Push is slightly more comfortable, not much. You can do a lot with it. You know, I'm assuming you probably already know how to do some level of kick drum synthesis. So I'll load you up a sort of a little play around pattern I came up with. Sequencer is really cool, and I'll show you that here in just a second. We'll go save, load file. Next, these are some of the ones I came up with to just kind of play around with. This is just to give an idea of the analog oscillators. It does have a ton of digital oscillators and samples, you know, kicks, snares, hi-hats, claps, tambourine, whatever, you name it. But I like to come up with sound design anyways, so analog oscillators on it sound incredible anyways. So go ahead and load that now. Oh, you know what? I actually, for some reason, even if you load up one of your existing beats, it initializes to only have 4 or 2 bars. So you have to initialize it to have 4 bars. That's probably something within a sub menu that you can set to change, but I haven't gotten that far into it yet. So so we'll load this up again. Next. Again, change the BPM. Also, when you load another thing, when you load the project you're working on, the BPM doesn't change to the project you saved it at. Little quirks like that are just kind of frustrating. No, I probably already did that, but whatever. So, what you can do, once you've done something like that, these are all some sounds I synthesized with it, which, again, sound really nice. This little hi-hat type deal I came up with. A little kick and a snare I came up with. Here's some of the sounds I came up with. And what's cool is it's got the standard groove box kind of setting where you can have it, you know, set to different scales and stuff. And you can adjust that up here. I'll show you that, you know. But to lay a sequence, this is where it gets kind of fun. This is the one I've got laid now, just for showing purposes. It actually, when I first laid it down, it was really cool. It had a lot of little accents and stuff in it that got deleted when I saved it. And again, this is one of the things that really frustrates me about this particular piece of gear is it has little weird quirks like that where, you know, certain parameters were adjusting as the sequence played on. That didn't save when I saved the sequence, and I turned it off and reloaded it, and it was not completely different, but, you know, it lost a lot of its magic. So show you what I've got playing now, and play around with some of the, and again, these are all, everything from the kick to the snare to the hi-hat to the bass line to the melody is all analog oscillators, just to show you how they sound. That's the analog distortion unit. There's the analog compressor. And then So if you want to change the parameters of a specific sound, like that, So now we'll change some of the parameters on the bass line. And then so here is the sequencer. What's really cool about the sequencer that you can't do with most drum machine type stuff is while it's playing, you can hit the record button, add something on top, and then jump back out of record mode, just kind of jam out with it. Then they have this mode called 16 mutes, which will allow you to kind of mute the selected pad that you're playing. And what's cool about it is when you've got this mode loaded, if you hit something like roll, it'll do that, kind of just let the parameter kind of just hang. And you can even do that in reverse. And what's cool about the reverse function of this is it actually doesn't reverse the sound, it just takes the envelope and plays it in reverse, so it sounds like it sounds reversing. And when you have it in 16 mute modes, it's every parameter that you adjust is global. So let's say I was to adjust the frequency. Of the cutoff or any other, it would go across all the sounds. Whereas if you have it in 16 sound modes, it'll only apply to the last sound you played. So as you can see. So that's basically just a little jam thing. Now, if you want to start from the top and just try to have a sort of a whole new sound kind of deal coming on, I'll add a new something that's more of a kind of a, because I actually like that. But the problem is, as I was telling you before, it's only 6 voices, so you can only do so much with the 6 voices. What I just laid down there is about the maximum amount you can lay down with it before the voices start to drop out when you add stuff to it. So here's another little thing I made that's, you know, nothing special, but yeah, see. For instance, when I laid this down, whatever that noise, let me see. This noise right here was not this loud. Here's the mixer section. It was more like that. And also, whatever, the sound itself I laid down was way different than that. So that's a quantized kind of like boring whatever beat, you know, that I don't think would ever get any traction on anything, but kind of shows off some of the advanced functionalities of the sequencer. But if I was to just, let's restart the whole machine. If I was to just lay down a whole new beat, I could go edit, which you push these two buttons together, then you go down to initialize beat. It'll load with certain sounds in it. Again, you could probably change that, but I don't really, I mean, you could load or change which specific sounds get loaded with it, but I don't know how to do that, and I don't really care to learn because I just load my own in anyways and usually edit them to how I like them to sound. So those are your default load up sounds, and then like I said, I initialized it 4/4 beat, and then if you want to do your little tap tempo button, do like a hip-hop tempo, so whatever, something like that, and you can add your little click track, play. Actually, there's your hi-hat. I like to start off with the hi-hats when let me turn the quantize off. So here's a non-quantized beat. It's got a nice, again, the sequencer is really cool. I know that's a mess because I'm trying to hold the camera and everything, but so now you got a basic beat, hip hop type deal, and what you can do if you like what you got there is you can add another sound on top of it. Let me load a bass line. Go to load sound folder. We'll go down to here. I like these sounds. I bought these preset kit that it's got some neat sounds in it, so we'll just go with something random. Cube pusher. I wonder if that's square pusher related. I'm sure it is. Next. There you go. That's a cool sound. So I'll go to 16 tunings with that sound. Needs to be turned down. See, when you play chords, it only saves one note for whatever reason. Really annoying, frustrating. But as you can see, the compressor has a nice, soft kind of kiss to it. Now you got, some kind of chord thing, and you can just layer on top of that. So let's leave 16 tuning mode. And we'll do this sound. I'm not going to use that, so I'll load on top of that another sound, which would be like a bass. Let's see. We'll try just something random. Full on mod. We'll try that one. Load file. Next. Damn it. Alright, hang on. Yeah, and that's another thing. You can't preview the sounds as you add them on top, which is super strange. Load now. Okay, so we'll go back to sounds. Okay, so you could do a bass line type thing with that, but probably slow down the envelope a little bit. A lot of sub menus, you should probably be used to that if you've used the Evolver. Shift this, that, kind of deal. Alright. So we're in 16 tuning modes now, so what we'll do is we'll drop the octave. Lay that down. If we go to 16 mutes mode, we can you know what I mean, and then just but it is a fucking badass machine. It just, if you could resample, let's say, the drum loop and add some effects and maybe have an onboard keyboard, just little things that would just turn it into the perfect machine. That's a shame that they left out, but it is fun to play around with. Again, you just couldn't, you know, for $2,000, you'd think they'd want something you can complete a whole song, not little fucking noodling with. I mean, what are you going to do with it in the context of an actual track? When, you know, when sounds, as you know, when sounds get compressed together, they have a nice kiss to them. If I wanted to add something on top of that, it would sound out of place, in my opinion. But it's a fucking badass machine, so I love it. I'll probably never get rid of it. If anything, I'll probably get 3 or 4 more of them, just because if I wanted to actually do a song. Now, I don't know if you can sidechain them, and even if you did, they'd each be running through their own separate outs. So, you know, again, there's limitations involved with it that are just a shame. If they'd have just, you know, or at least set it up to, you can add some add-ons like an effects, you know, an effects expander, you know, a sample expander, you know, to resample, you know, that way if you wanted to layer down 2 sounds together, like 2 snares, 2 kicks, you know, and then you wouldn't be taking up all your voices. 6 voices is nothing if you're trying to come up with a track. So I don't know. Again, the sampler is so cool, and the sequencer is so cool. In something like this where you could come up with a whole song, you know, you'd think they would have just, I don't know, more power, I suppose. But sounds badass. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of deep diving under the hood you got to get into, and the more you dive into it, the funner it gets. But I love it, and yeah, tell me what you think, man. Okay, bye.